How you doing, everybody? I'm Tony Gaglione.
I'm Shawn Adams.
This is Smacktalk.
Today we're going to start out with segment one. We're going to do our Super Bowl preview, which is going to be pretty interesting because Tony picked the Super Bowl right at the beginning of the
Yes,
playoffs.
he did.
And I would like to say, I haven't checked, but I believe I picked the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl in our NFL season.
But I think with Denver and Seattle.
Yeah, but I picked Seattle to win the season. I'm just going to throw that out
All
there.
right.
One thing I'd like to say about the Super Bowl, this is there's a meme going around the internet which I find kind of interesting. Both states to legalize marijuana, Washington and Colorado, both have teams in the Super Bowl. Cheech and Chong would love that. I'd just like to throw that out there.
All right.
First things up, let's talk about the Broncos. They were damn near perfect against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. Peyton Manning was lights out. Their defense shut LeGarrette Blount down. I think everyone was talking about how LeGarrette Blount was going to
I know it was huge because
run
against
all
the Colts
over him,
defense,
right?
he ran for like 100 some odd yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, he had like
and then
200
against
yards.
Denver, he had a whole lot of nothing. So it's like, I mean, LeGarrette Blount is LeGarrette Blount, but he's not.
He's better at
prime
punching
time.
players after the
There
game.
you go. He's not a prime time. Yeah, that's what we're getting.
Yeah.
He's not a prime time running back. Oh yeah. When he was
that
in
Boise
Oregon,
State?
or Boise State, yeah.
He's like, we lost. There goes our national championship.
Oh, it was terrible.
One thing about the game, Peyton Manning was pretty much untouched.
Yeah.
I think he had like 5 hurries.
5 hurries.
5 hurries, and that was it.
No
Which
sacks.
is key for the Broncos, keeping them upright. Things about the Super Bowl though. Peyton Manning is 3-7 all time in temperatures when games start with temperatures less than 32 degrees. If
I
anyone
like
doesn't
that
know,
stat.
anyone that doesn't know, this is gonna be the first Super Bowl played outdoors in New York.
In a long time.
Yeah.
I like that stat because it makes me just it's Seattle.
Yeah.
Seattle is from the elements. Obviously, Seattle is just rain and snow, just craziness when it comes to the elements. And Seattle's defense is just tough. And when your bones are rocking at 32 degrees,
Oh yeah.
they become brittle.
Yeah.
So getting hit at 32 is a little different than getting hit at about 78.
You like that stat? I know we're gonna have a lot of Broncos fans out there due to the Sherman incident.
I
Broncos
loved it.
we'll get to that when we talk about Seattle.
Okay, all right.
The Broncos are 4-1 this year against top 10 NFL rushing teams. For those of you who know, Seattle's number 4 in rush yards per game, number 2 in rush attempts. They beat Kansas City twice, who's number 10. They beat Philadelphia, who's number 1, and Washington, who's number 5. Also, one thing I'm going to bring up is the Welker fact. If anyone doesn't remember, Welker dropped a bunch of balls the last time he was in the Super Bowl with the Patriots.
Okay.
Remember that? Remember his wife was
I'll
like,
give you that.
remember his wife?
How about-
So the Welker factor, do you think, I just think.
I want to bring up something really quick. Welker had a bad hit on Akeem Talib.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Do you think that was intentional?
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. It was intentional.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
But it was
He
intentional.
attacked him like a vampire on a River Plate, bro.
Like Dracula on a liver plate.
Yeah,
He attacked him.
exactly. No, but I think the Welker factor, is he going to be nervous? Is he going to try to make up for, is he going to try to overdo it? And how well does the receiver core, I mean, I know everyone talks about the 4 horsemen and they got Julius Thomas, but I'm sorry, but that's Seattle secondary.
Look, Peyton Manning can make any 4 receivers look like,
Hey,
the
Tom
top
Brady
4
does to
receivers in the
the
league. Yeah. I mean, you have Tom Brady that had
Nobody.
Kendrick Tompkins, some
Nobody.
kid
Nobody.
I never heard of.
Just
that
had
dropped
nobody.
balls. Yeah, Julian Edelman. I'm sorry, Julian Edelman is a good player, but he is not a top slot receiver. He just happens to play in the system with Bill
What about,
Belichick and Tom
hold
Brady.
on, speaking of receivers, Danny Amendola was a big name signing after they lost. That dude just drops more balls. He is garbage.
Hey, you know what? Danny Amendola, to me, is a good player. I'm just happy that he got an entire season where he played.
He was hurt for a while.
Oh, he got hurt?
Yeah, he got hurt.
Okay, well. He wasn't hurt for the whole season.
Some other things about the Broncos. No Shawn Moreno, in my opinion, no Shawn Moreno and Monty Ball, they're off running. They got to run the ball well, even screenplays, things like that, to offset the Seattle pass runners. I think that's a big thing for the Broncos. Because I know everyone thinks Peyton Manning can go out there and sling it out there, but if they don't remember the last time he tried to do that against the Saints, it didn't work out too well.
No.
The Saints had 2 picks in that game. And also Julius Thomas, the tight end, probably one of the better tight ends in the NFL. I'm not going to use a young guy, so I'm not going to say he's the best because there are other guys.
No, Jimmy Grant is way better.
Yeah, exactly. But I think Julius Thomas must have a big game. He's going to be matched up against some athletic linebackers who are good in coverage, which I don't think he's seen in the AFC. And I think that's going to be big for him. And a few things. There's also Von Miller is on the IR. He's out for the year.
Yeah,
and Chris Harris Jr.
Chris Harris against the San Diego Chargers. Chris Harris went out with an injury. Quentin Jammer, a former Charger, had to come in.
Quentin Jammer's a good player.
Two big plays.
Yeah, but he's a good player.
He let up two big plays, and this man is getting old.
Yes.
It's not what he used to be, and basically the Broncos picked him up on a dime.
Well,
and
he's
playing backup corner, and Chris Harris Jr. I know personally from watching him when he used to play with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah,
he's a ball.
Yeah.
But
I think that the one thing that Denver will try to do is disguise the Jammer's presence because they do have Champ Bailey and Rogers and Marty.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
But when you line up at 4 and 5 wide receivers,
no, I know that. What I'm saying is that they'll try to disguise his presence, but he could make the plays. I'll talk about that on our top 5. Let's move on to Seattle.
All right.
Seattle's offense. Okay, one second there. Anyone's a Broncos fan? I want somebody to name me a Broncos linebacker. That's starting because nobody can do it. Yeah, nobody can know their defense. But that's what I want to talk about is Seattle's offense is a great rushing team. And this is something I will say on the show again. I've said it before, you know it. Marshawn Lynch is one of the runners that when he plays a stout defense has better games than he does against soft defense. Look at the 49ers game. 49ers don't let up a 100-yard rusher all season. Marshawn Lynch, 106 yards rushing. Seattle wins that game. Their defense came up big against Kaepernick and the Niners.
Yeah, there's a little bit of motivation when he plays a defense that talks a lot of smack, or is a defense that's known for stopping the rush. And there's a little bit of motivation for him. He goes into beast mode and gets his power pellet skills and gets rolling. You know what I mean? So I like Marshawn Lynch. I think if the Seattle Seahawks are going to win this game, then Marshawn Lynch has to rush for over 100 yards.
Yeah, not only that, I think Russell Wilson has to rush pretty well that option offense.
See, as you know, I'm not a fan of the running quarterback.
But he does it right.
The running quarterback, for me, is not. It doesn't belong in the NFL.
No, I know.
However, let me say, when you have a complete team like Seattle does with a powerhouse defense, things like that, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is. It doesn't matter. You can have Trent Dilfer, you can have Rex Grossman as quarterback, and it really doesn't matter because your defense has gotten you there.
Yeah.
All you have to do is manage the game and not turn the ball over. Hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, let him rush for over 100 yards, let your defense take away, and they're going to win the game.
One thing I wanted to say, you talked about complete offense. Percy Harvin should be available for this game. And when you look at Seattle with Marshawn Lynch and Zach Miller, who's a good tight end, he's a pass catching tight end. You got Harvin, Doug Baldwin, and Golden Tate.
They used to have Sidney Rice. Can you imagine if they had Sidney Rice?
But Harvin is also a punt returner, kick returner. He could be an X factor in this game.
Well, Golden Tate is doing all the returning.
Well, I think Percy Harvin would take the punt returns.
Well, we'll see what
it back.
Yeah.
So I think Harvin could be an X factor. Also, we'll get onto this now. Cam Chancellor in the secondary against the Denver wide receiver tight ends. I think they're a lot faster than people think. The Legion of Boom, the defense calls themselves. And let's talk about the Richard Sherman.
I think they're going to get Richard Sherman. Oh, he's garbage. Michael Crabtree is a sorry wide receiver. You should never go to him to win the game. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Garbage. He's whatever.
Definitely not Doug.
But you know what? Don't care. He's still one of the best corners, if not the best corner in the league.
Yeah, and he's young too. You know, I personally don't like all the bashing on Richard Sherman. I don't think he's a thug. I think he's a competent player. He knows his abilities, and
he was amped at the end of the game.
He was amped at the end, and we don't know what was being said during the game. And there's reports out that Larry Fitzgerald's like a charity event earlier this season, or earlier in the offseason, that Crabtree refused to shake his hand and said some things, and that's what brought up the.
Well, also at the end of the game here, Crabtree refused to shake his hand again when Sherman went out to shake his hand.
And one thing I want to bring up,
and then he stuffed his hand in his face. So I mean, what are you going to do?
In his defense, Bill Plaschke, the LA Times sports writer, great article. We expect NFL players to be violent and aggressive during the game. That's what we expect them to be, right? And then a minute after the game in an interview, you expect him to just switch that off. Now, he's not a quarterback who is to sit there and think the whole time and read defenses. He's an aggressive player. He's out there to tackle, to hit guys, to make plays, and then you expect him to turn that off.
He's out there to light people up. His adrenaline is on a high for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And you expect him in the interview, right after he makes the game-winning tip for the interception, to just calm down and say, well, we gave it 100%. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. If it was me, I would say the same thing.
Okay.
Don't ever throw
so
it by me.
One thing, let's move on. I want to talk about experience in the Super Bowl. Now, relatively, Wes Welker and Peyton Manning are the only two players that have been in the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Okay. Pete Carroll, however, as a coach, has coached in some big games.
But that's
National
not a Super
championship.
Bowl.
No, it's not. But it's a national championship. So it's a college football. You know what I mean?
That's
so
a whole different monster.
I know it's a whole different monster. But I'm saying, is the experience even a factor because we have relatively a handful of people?
The experience is a factor for Peyton Manning because he can handle a large crowd. He can handle the noise. The thing is he going to be able to handle the rush?
Okay.
That's the problem. Can he handle the four-man rush of Seattle? Can he handle the blitz when they bring it? Can he handle the corner blitz when they bring it? If he can handle that, I think the Broncos are going to win the game.
Okay.
Me personally, I have Seattle because I don't think he's going to be able
Yeah,
to
we'll get to
handle
that in a second.
When he gets forced into pressure, Peyton Manning turns into a mediocre quarterback.
That rolls into what I want to talk about. Seattle, I think, big plays to set the tone of the game, whether it's deep balls, big rushes, defensive plays, and time of possession. Because everyone knows recipe. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, guys like that. You got to keep them on the pressure. Drew Brees. You got to keep them on the field. You run the ball. Keep you 9-minute drives, 11 plays, things like that.
And Seattle can do that with Marshawn Lynch. Seattle can do that with Turbin. Seattle can do that with screen passes. Seattle can do that with a lot of things.
And people forget
Russell
that
Wilson rushing the ball.
Yeah, he can extend plays.
Sure.
3rd and 9, he can run out and get a little thing. So let's go into Tony's Super Bowl keys to victory and who he has and the score he has for the Super Bowl.
All right, first of all, I got Seattle winning the Super Bowl 31-24. Okay. Second of all, the keys to victory, my top 5 keys to victory, are special teams for Seattle. Golden Tate is huge. Golden Tate, if he brings the ball back on a kick return or a punt return over 30 yards and sets up Seattle in good field position, that is huge.
Okay.
Number 4, you got to force Manning into pressure. Get pressure on Manning. Now, you don't have to hit him, but make sure he gets the ball out within 3 seconds, within 4 seconds. Number 3, you got to stop the Bronco run. If no Sean Moreno's playing, if Monty Ball is playing. If no Sean Moreno's playing, you have to stop the run because the run opens up the pass.
Yep.
Number 2, front 4 have to sack Manning.
Okay.
If Manning goes down, he usually fumbles the ball.
Yep.
That forces turnovers. Turnovers win game. And number 1, Lynch has to go wild. Lynch has to rush for over 100 yards. If Lynch doesn't rush for over 100 yards, Seattle does not win.
Okay. This is what I'm going to say. I'm with Tony. So, Smacktalk, Seattle. First off, you know me, I hated the 49ers, so I was glad to see them out of the thing. I think Seattle's going to win this game handily, 40-17. And I know that's going to surprise some people, but I got some reasons behind it. One, it's the weather and turnovers. We don't know what the weather's going to be like. It's outdoor football.
The forecast for storm.
Yeah.
Forecast for storm.
You get snow and stuff. Okay. Turnovers is going to be a big thing. Denver, their defense isn't a playmaking defense. It's not like the Bears. It's not like the Seahawks, right?
Sure.
Okay.
They're not ball hawks. They don't force the turnover. They don't strip the ball. They bend but don't break.
Yeah, that's right. And one thing, number 4, is to exploit the holes in Denver's defense. Any team that's played Denver this year will show you on tape. Denver has glaring weaknesses in their defense. It gets covered up because Peyton Manning scores a lot of points. But
Sure,
if you keep
you
him
saw
off
that
the
in the
field,
Dallas game when Dallas played Denver and they lit up the scoreboard for
That's
40
right.
some odd points.
That's right.
You saw that. It wasn't that hard for Tony Romo to exploit that defense. If you have a quarterback that can read a defense, especially Denver's, then they have trouble.
Okay, and then my third key is forcing Denver into 3rd and long.
Sure.
Okay, because Peyton Manning, he'll, like you said, you give him 3-4 seconds, you got to shut that window down. And when you get him into 3rd and long, you can bring front 4, drop extra deep in cover, disguise your blitzes. You get lots of Cliff Averill. I think is going to be a big key in this. That's my number 2. Cliff Averill and a defensive front, a player I'll talk about in our top 5. Red Bryant. Defensive front, I think they can cause a lot of havoc, but they've got to shut down the run first.
Yeah.
Like you said. So they put him in third and long. That's going to be a big key. Cliff Averill, I think, coming off that edge, is going to destroy Peyton Manning's offense. I think he's going to disrupt a lot. He's a very intelligent player, so he doesn't just run upfield. He'll sit back and he'll wait for that run to come when they try that stretch play or the screen.
Yeah.
And then number one, I agree with you. Beast mode, Marshawn Lynch. He's got to go off. I don't think he has to get over 100 yards, but I think he's got to touch the ball 20 times and have at least 30 yards receiving.
So the big thing is you just we both agree on the number one is Lynch and keeping Peyton Manning off the field.
That's right.
Keeping Peyton Manning off the field. That's the biggest thing. You have to have long, drawn out, 9-minute, 15-play drive to keep Peyton Manning off the field.
Yeah.
That's how you
The
win the
reason
game for
why
Seattle.
I have the score so high for Seattle, I think Seattle probably comes out, lighten it up. It'll be close in the first half, but turnovers, I think Seattle has the type of offense that turn turnovers into points. And I think those turnovers, they limit the amount of touches Peyton Manning gets. And when you have a running offense, I think Percy Harvin, he can make a big difference. And Doug Baldwin, people forget about Doug Baldwin.
Let me tell you the reason I have a 31-24. I think Seattle's going to come out hot too, and I think they're going to run up the score a little bit. But as you can see in any Seattle game, they happen to let people back in a lot.
Yeah.
And especially a guy like Peyton Manning, he's going to come and he's going to throw for 2 or 3 touchdowns. Okay, it's not going to be just Seattle running all over him like you think. I mean, we can go back and forth all day about it, but I think Peyton Manning, he's going to come back and he's going to make a run for it. But I think ultimately Seattle, with the defense, with Russell Wilson, with Marshawn Lynch, they win this game.
All right, so let me ask you a question. Who's your Super Bowl MVP?
My Super Bowl MVP is Marshawn Lynch because I think he's going to run for way over 100 yards.
Okay. I like that because I think Marshawn Lynch is 15, but my Super Bowl MVP is okay. Sure.
Richard Sherman, 2 picks.
2 picks.
All right, thanks for watching segment 1 of Smacktalk. I'm Tony Gaglione.
I'm Shawn Adams. Stay tuned for segment 2.